Jessica, welcome. I'm super excited to talk with you today, and we're going to learn more about the library. So
Great.
tell us about yourself and your role with the Grosse Pointe Public Library.
Well, I have been the director of the library for almost 5 years now. I started in 2016. And prior to that, I was the director of the Ferndale Area District Library. And before that, I was the director of the Hazel Park Memorial Library. So I've um, worked at a few libraries in the Southeast Michigan area.
Hmm.
And it's definitely my passion. I love libraries and I love literature and just helping people. So I feel very lucky to have found this profession and have been able to work here. And the Grosse Pointe community has been especially fabulous to work with. We have a really supportive, energetic, engaged community.
Yeah, so you already kind of touched on my next question. You've been to several libraries. You've worked at several of them. What do you love most about working here at the Grosse Pointe Public Library?
Definitely the community. It's just such a vibrant, like I said, engaged community. We get a lot of feedback and support from our patrons. We have a lot of cooperation with the schools, which is really special. We
Hmm.
do daily deliveries back and forth with our three library branches and all of the school buildings. It's really quite special that our school system has a library within each building. And even though they're technically separate, we do cooperate really well together and we share our database, which means all of the items in all of these places are all stored in our computer system and you can find them easily and have them sent to wherever is convenient for you to pick them up
Yeah, I
and
definitely,
bring them back.
that's one of the perks that I love about it is that if one branch doesn't have it, chances are another branch has it, and I
Hmm.
can always go pick it up at that branch. But then the convenience of picking up at my closer branch too. I think we're just so fortunate that we have really this big library system in Grosse Pointe.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize if we don't have something that you want, if you request it, we will buy it if we can within reason. But sometimes we do miss something that's come out or people have an interest that wasn't on our radar, and we fulfill a lot of requests from people that way and get it to the people that need it. And we
Yeah,
do
it's.
have, yeah, and we do interlibrary loan throughout the state as well. So almost anything that you desire we can get for you through the
I was gonna
library.
say it's very rare that the library does not have something that even I'm looking for.
Right, right.
But yeah, no, that's excellent and good for people to know that if they can't find something, that doesn't mean that you can't get it.
Right, right.
So this has been a tough year, though, past year for libraries, right? With COVID, and I know that so much of, you know, yes, it's a library. We can check out books and we can read, but the library does a lot more than that. So talk to us a little bit about what are some of the changes and pivots and adjustments that you guys have had to make over this past year to, make sure you're still part of a community resource.
Definitely. Well, we've moved as many programs online as possible. So one of our two like meat and potatoes type categories of programming, I would say, would be our book discussion groups and story times. And we've been able to do both of those things online quite successfully. We have several weekly story times online that people can watch either live or on demand on their own schedule. And that's been really nice for our youth librarians to be able to connect with their young patrons and their parents that way. And then the book discussion groups have really pivoted well online. People really, really miss being together. But I just got an email 2 weeks ago from a member of our mystery adult discussion group who he said that they've become like a family and they've really been like a support group and a lifeline. Some of the members of that group live alone, and that's been their
Hmm.
main source of social contacts this whole time. So we have been able to connect with people that way and still remain engaged in the community.
Yeah, that's great. It still gives people something to look forward to, even if they
Definitely.
can't leave or do it in the same way. They can still, have this weekly set time day, or however often it is.
Right,
Um,
right. And
mm,
have a meaningful connection, which is
yeah,
really the heart of it.
yeah. So now with going into 2021, what are some things, have you been able to make some adjustments and shifts and open back up a little bit more? Have some things changed with, um, or do you have any anticipation of when some of these things might change when we're going to be back in the libraries a little bit?
Well, we are in curbside only mode currently, but we are anticipating going to grab and go hopefully in early March, so very soon. And that would mean
Nice.
that people could come into the buildings for up to 30 minutes at a time. They can use a computer, use the printer, and browse some of the shelves to a limited degree. So that is coming very soon, and we're excited about that.
That's awesome. So reflecting back on your time, like you've been at the Grosse Pointe Library for a while now.
Mhm.
What are some of your most memorable patron experiences that kind of stand out to you that, um, being in the library is your world, but what are some that stand out that you just remind you of like, oh, this is so worthwhile and this is why I do this?
Well, one thing that's been really special is that there are a lot of people who grew up in Grosse Pointe and maybe left for a while and then came back when they started having a family of their own. So I have seen personally several times where we'll be out like at a park, for example, and someone will come up to one of our youth librarians who has been here for a long time and say, I remember when you were my librarian and you did our story time when I was little. And some of our youth librarians know the names of the parents and the kids from like multiple generations. So it's that
Yeah.
that deep personal connection is always really special. And during the pandemic, we have had reference librarians available over phone and email and chat. This entire time, we figured out how to even route calls when people were working from home, that they were able to take the library phone calls. And we've had people calling who needed food assistance,
Mm,
help with their heating bills. And the library is really the place that a lot of people go to when they don't know where to go. And
right.
we always do our very, very best to help get them the resources that they need. So when we're able to assist in those really critical situations, that's very rewarding.
Yeah. I think that's so important, and it kind of touches on my next question. What about being integrated in this Grosse Pointe community do you love so much, and why? We kind of touched about it in terms of the library, right? But what makes it so special to you to be a part of this area?
Well, the walkability I think is huge. Just being able to walk through the village or down Kercheval on the hill, and I almost always run into people I know, and everyone is so friendly. I love all the dogs in the community.
Yes.
It's a very strong dog community. So anytime you're walking down the street, you can usually stop and pet a few dogs. And it's just a very friendly, warm community. And it's a place where you really can still walk to a small business and get that really personal service. I know, like with the hardware stores, they're always very helpful when you have a question. And we just have so many great restaurants locally that I've heard people refer to Grosse Pointe as a bubble. And, when you leave the points, you're leaving the bubble. And I can really feel that sometimes but
Yeah.
in a really pleasant, way that we're just in this almost like magical place a lot of the time, it feels like.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap up, what are some things that maybe people, because we have been a little disconnected, what are some things that people can put on their radar or be reminded about that the library is here for them to utilize?
Well, I would definitely recommend signing up for our email newsletter if you aren't already receiving it. We send those out consistently every Monday with a listing of events that are happening and some featured things. So that's a great way to stay connected. We have our really extensive tool library that is still available, and we're checking those items out. So, um, anything that you need for home maintenance or yard maintenance, chances are that we have those items and you can check them out for free and you don't have to buy them and then, have this weird tool that takes up space in your attic or your garage forever that you only needed one time. And we also have some really quirky, interesting things in that collection. Like we have happy lights. If people want to experiment with that, if you think you might have a little seasonal affective disorder because it's been so gloomy out, you can check out one of those lights and see if it makes you feel better. And we have these huge telescopes that you can check out if you're interested in stargazing. And so all kinds of things, whatever you're interested in exploring, chances are we can help you with that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I always forget that you have those tools too, but I did not know you had like a telescope. That's so amazing.
Yeah, we have several, and they're available at all 3 branches now. And that started through a partnership with the Warren Astronomical Society, and it's just a really cool, fun thing that we offer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so if people are diving in online, they want to learn more about the library, they want to research a little more on their own, what are the best places for them to start looking at that? Your website and social and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. GrossePointeLibrary.org is our website, and there is a wealth of information there. We are very active on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jessica. This was great. I definitely learned something new about the library year. I'm definitely going to check some of those things out. Hopefully our listeners will, take advantage. If you haven't been to the library in a while, they're still here. They're still here and they're, ready for you.
Right. And one last thing, if I could add,
Yeah.
People can get their library cards online now too, which a lot of people don't realize. It's just grossepointelibrary.org/get-a-card. And you can sign up and you immediately get access to all of our online resources that way. And we have thousands of ebooks and audiobooks you can download. We have streaming now for movies. So if you want to dip a toe in without even having to leave your house, that's a great opportunity.
Perfect. I'm so glad you shared that.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Jessica, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
You too.